What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another, well, I was about to say morning stream. It is Good Morning Tottenham, but look, it's morning somewhere, right?
Good
it's morning somewhere. Good afternoon, Tottenham. But now we're here for a preview stream for the big game against Wolves this weekend. We are joined by Danny Kyriakou back in the studio once again. You know, it's not been a while since you've been here last weekend for the watch along.
Yeah.
Great job you did there, but welcome back, my friend. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, Ben. I'm happy to help out as well.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm always here to help you, man.
Thank you, man. It's and obviously everyone go subscribe to his channel, Tottenham on Tour. But look, we've got a game to talk about today. Wolves at home, a game that we lost last season. And actually, when you look at it, the first 3 games of this season, we lost all those games last season. When you look at Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Wolves at home, do you read too much into that kind of the points difference from those kind of games last year to this year?
I think a little bit, because if you look at it, right, it's like some of the things I was saying, it's a bit like of the law of averages a little bit, because you might go and win
apart from when you go Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, apart from when you go Stamford Bridge, yeah. But in a way, we did a lot better than we expected.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But I think with these games, yes, you're expected, if you go and beat the teams that you drop points from last season, of course it makes you think, okay, maybe you're starting to improve again. But it's when you come up against the teams you don't expect, or you expect to get a result and then you don't get a result. So it kind of, how I see it is, it kind of balances out over the season, because we could go and beat Wolves tomorrow, which we lost last season at home, but then we go to say Nottingham Forest come to the lane and then we go and lose to them, or we go and draw to them. Or,
you know, with the 2 City games which we won last season, you know, that's not a given that we win any of those games.
Exactly.
The 2 Liverpool games that we drew both last season, you know what I mean? None of those are givens. But when you're looking at the Southamptons and the Wolveses, I mean, they've got to be 3 points.
Yeah, you should. That's what we should expect. Yeah. We should expect 3 points from those games, no matter what. Because ideally, if you want to compete with those teams above us, then we have to be winning the games we should be winning. And then I was saying on the watch along, the games that we against the top teams, the idea is to not lose. That's the main thing. As long as you can pick up points, if you can't win the match, like we did against Chelsea, pick up a point, because that's going to be crucial come the end of the season. But again, you have to win those games that you're expected to win, or you should be winning. Yeah, it's true. And you know, coming into the game against Wolves this weekend, how do you assess Wolves? Because the way I look at them, they started really well last season, very strong at the back. They have lost Connor Cody. They're going into a different system now with 4 at the back. They always give us a tough game, don't they? Always give us a tough game. And I'm going to say this now. You've got to look out for Max Kilman, because if he's playing,
great player, yeah.
If he's playing tomorrow, I remember I loved watching him last season. I kept an eye on him, and I think he's a great defender. I think when you watched him against us at the Lane, he was one of their best players. He was just aggressive, quick, sweeping up everything. He just wasn't letting our attackers get anywhere near there.
Player as well.
Yeah, he was. It was good at ball players getting up the pitch. So I think he's going to be a danger man in terms of defensive wise for their team. And yeah, we've got to look to try and make sure we're a bit more innovative and creative in our play tomorrow, if we're going to have a chance of beating them, because we know they like to get in your faces. They like to press. They're not scared of possession as well. They're good on the ball. So it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow.
For a team that's so used to playing 5 at the back with Connor Cody at the heart of it, Connor Cody's gone now on loan to Everton, which was a strange one in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you think that plays into our hands a little bit, because they're playing a system which they're not completely comfortable with just yet?
A little bit. I would say, yeah, a little bit, because, again, Connor Cody's been a mainstay in that defence for how many years? And I think there was a stat recently, just after he left, then they said that he'd only missed like a handful of games since he actually joined Wolves in terms of starting, and especially in the Premier League. So it goes to show how vital he was for that team. So it was very strange why they got rid of him. There must have been something, who knows, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because... yeah, it's a different dynamic, and I think also you could say we've got a different dynamic. It depends who we play. It might be the same sort of team, maybe with 1 or 2 players difference from last season, but I can't remember. Was Kulu? Did we play Wolves before the January window?
No, it was after.
It was after. So okay, yeah. I don't know if Kulu was actually playing at that time.
I'm not sure if he started or he came on that game. He definitely played some part. but it was before that Kulu and Bentancur got fully integrated.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a massive difference because them two are going to start tomorrow no matter what. And I think that's going to be a real test to see how we do against them with them two in the team. But on the Wolves side, one of my favourite players in the Premier League, and I know last season he was injured a lot, but it's one to watch, and this season is Pedro Neto. I think Neto is brilliant, and I think if he's fit tomorrow and plays, which I think he is, he's going to be very interesting because he causes problems. Yeah. He's a very big problem
very
player.
Tricky customer. Isn't he?
He is good on both feet, cross on both feet. He's quick. He's got stamina. He presses. So, it's going to be an exciting game, I think. It's going to be quite end-to-end, I think, as well.
The one thing about Pedro Neto, I completely agree with you because I really rate him as a player and I think he's got supreme ability, but I've always thought he needs to be doing better in terms of his output for goals and assists.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's had this is his, second season in the team?
Second or third, I'm not sure. I'll check that out, but go on.
But yeah, when he's in his breakthrough season, he was brilliant. But again, yeah, you're right. His numbers weren't crazy numbers. Like, he wasn't getting into double digits.
His fourth year this year.
Is it fourth year? Yeah. Okay, so I mean, he had one last year was pretty much injury hit, and the year before that was where he really kind of broke out. And he's what 22. Yeah. So he was 19 when he first joined. He's still a very young player, and I think this season, if he performs and gets up his goals and assists output for the season, I think there'll be a lot of clubs circling him at the end of the season.
I mean, at that age, I mean, there's always scope to improve, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Last year, he played 13 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Year before, 31 games, 5 goals and 6 assists. In his first year, he played
that's not
29 games and 3 and 3. 3 goals, 3 assists.
So he started to get better, and you could see the improvement. But then the injury obviously caused him problems. So I think if he can take another level to what he was on his best season, and maybe go like 7 goals, 7 assists, or something like that, that's pretty good for a player who's that young as well in the Premier League. But yeah, for me, I would love to see him at Spurs. I would love him at Spurs. I think he's a brilliant player.
I mean, he's been linked with Arsenal at the moment. I would hate it if he moved there.
Could you imagine if he goes to Arsenal?
If he moves there. But look, if this next slide isn't a reason why we should be worried maybe about this game, because you're looking at the past 5 results against Wolves, in our last 3 home games against them, we've lost against them twice.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
You know what I mean? And I find it a weird one with Wolves because I always feel like we play better at Molineux and they always play better at the Tottenham Hotspur. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because you can't really see much teams in a head-to-head where that's the case.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's like, I wouldn't even say they're a bogey team, maybe a home bogey team, because, I mean, obviously based on those last kind of, 5 games, the 3 of the home ones, we've lost 2 of them.
I know.
So, I mean, the only thing about that is I think you could say it's circumstantial based on where we were and the managers we had at the time, and the positions and players we had available. I think we were in sort of not the greatest of periods when we played them both last time. I mean, I know the Wolves game last season, that was just a massive anomaly. I think that was after the Southampton game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like literally in the space of a week of each other, Southampton and Wolves.
And then we lost both 2 games, and I think that was really poor from the team as a whole. But it's one of those ones where we just don't know what's going to happen. Which Spurs are going to turn up tomorrow? Are we going to get the Spurs we've been seeing the last kind of 7-8 Premier League games where we're literally trying to thump teams, 3 goals, 4 goals? And I know obviously Chelsea's Chelsea because that is our hardest away game of the season. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game tomorrow. I think we're going to see at least 2 goals from each team. I think it could be like a 4-2, a 4-3, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Are you worried at all about Sanchez coming in this weekend ahead of Romero? Because let's be honest, like he came in at the beginning of the season, 3 clean sheets. He came in at the end of last season as well against Arsenal and the remaining games after that, and he stood up to the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sanchez is not the greatest ball-playing defender. He's no Romero. We all know that. But I was having this argument on Irish Hotspur 2 days ago, and I was saying the thing with Sanchez is if he is in the team for a short burst, for like 2, 3, 4 games at a time, he's all right. You can kind of rely on him to an extent. Like, I'm not saying he's a great defender, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can rely on him to do his job, right? Which is, if you look at the last, 8 games or last 10 games, we conceded like 2 goals in the Premier League, and majority of those games he was part of that team, and so was someone like Emerson, for example. So I think that he can come in and do his job, as long as I don't see what I saw from him in pre-season, because in pre-season he looked like the old Sanchez a bit, where he was shaky, looked really nervous. And we know what Davinson Sanchez's weakness is. When he's pressured on the ball, he has massive problems. He loses his confidence or his head a bit, and he doesn't know what to do. He loses his decision making. It kind of goes a bit wonky. So I'm hoping that he can come in and do a job. And look, it's not ideal, but this is the situation we're in. We're not going to go and buy another defender. We can't buy one to play for tomorrow. The other option is Tanganga, and right now I'd probably rather see Sanchez, because I think Tanganga, last season, what we saw of him, he was just, I've never seen him so poor. He was awful, and he's even worse on the ball than Sanchez, in my opinion. I think for me, Tanganga needs to go on loan. He needs to go and play some football week in, week out, in a position where he can really kind of develop. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to see the potential that was there for him realised. But Sanchez, I think he'll do a job. I think he'll do a job. That's as kind as I could say it, Ben.
I mean, here's my unpopular opinion. You might disagree with me, but I actually think Davinson Sanchez is one of the best backup centre-backs in the Premier League.
Okay, interesting. Why do you think that then?
Because I don't think many other teams have, I mean, Liverpool and City aside, because you can't put him in the same category as like John Stones and Konate and these kind of people. I mean, I'm not as deluded to say that he's up there with them, but maybe outside of maybe the Man Cities and the Liverpools, when you're looking at Chelsea's backup centre-backs, who do they have? They don't really have anyone there anymore after Christensen and Rudiger's gone. They're short there a little bit. You're looking at Arsenal. I think Rob Holding, I think Sanchez is better than Rob Holding.
Yeah, I would say so.
And people like that. So name me, apart from outside Liverpool and Man City, a backup centre-back that's actually better than Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you actually put it like that and you actually look at as a whole in terms of backup centre-backs. You probably would say that, and that's in a way, is that saying a lot to the top teams, the top 6 teams, backup centre-backs? Are they barring Man City and Liverpool? Because I do think Chelsea will strengthen again, but you could say maybe he is. It's a good argument to have, because when you compare him to Rob Holding, I think he's definitely better than Rob Holding. I know Rob Holding, Sanchez is not the greatest on the ball, but he's definitely more athletic and more. He definitely will provide a lot more. I know Sanchez scored a couple of goals for us last season in some moments.
Important goals as well. Last minute goal against Watford.
He did, yeah. I mentioned that as well to David, and I know how David feels about Sanchez. But look, we have to live in the reality we're living in, and that is Sanchez is our player, and Conte obviously trusts him to the extent where he feels that he is a good enough backup, because if he didn't, I'm sure they really would have pushed for another centre-back. Who knows? We might still get another centre-back this window, but right now Sanchez is that player, and I wouldn't want anyone else. And I think he'll do a job. I think he will do a job tomorrow.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not like sitting here saying Sanchez is the greatest defender of all time. I'm not the biggest fan of Sanchez, and I've also said it on this channel time and time again that I feel like he probably would need to move on at some point. But the more and more I've thought about it, I'm happy with him to back up Christian Romero. I really am. And I think people maybe use him as a scapegoat a lot of times. And that happens a lot with players. And I think Davinson Sanchez, people probably overhype how bad he actually is. And he's not as bad as people say he is, albeit he is fairly bad.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if you know, I know exactly what you're trying to say. I think he's not as bad as people make out that he is. I mean, look, my personal opinion of Sanchez is, and I think maybe most people would agree, is that we need better. But we also understand the reality, and we also understand where we are and how much work our squad does really need. And they've obviously just started their process of building a team that can really challenge on all fronts. And I think we'll see that over the next couple of windows. I think we will see the team getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I do see Conte staying as well. But yeah, Sanchez, look, the only concern I have for him is, do you know what's weird about Sanchez is sometimes, right, he'll have a game where he's really good, and when he's on the ball, his passing range and passing's like brilliant, and he'll do some brilliant passes, long balls across the field, and then other times,
it's up there.
Yeah, it's concentration. It's the biggest thing with him, and even Conte said it himself. He literally said, if Davinson Sanchez could concentrate for 90 minutes, he would be one of the best defenders. And that's literally what he said. And I think Conte sees that. And I think that's what he's trying to get into him is to focus for 90 minutes. And if he can do that, Sanchez may be a player that we might have for years to come. But we obviously, so far, we haven't seen it. But we have seen signs last season that he has improved. We have to be honest. He has improved last season from what he was the season before. Because the season before, he was a calamity. He was a mistake every single game nearly. And obviously, I think Conte's got majority of the mistakes out of his game, but there is still a mistake in him, as well as Dyer. But yeah, it's interesting to see.
I think we better move on from Davinson Sanchez, because I think if we speak about him anymore, I think David is going to be after us, the Irish Hotspur. You know what I mean? He's already gunning for you a bit, Danny, this morning by talking about anything positive said about Sanchez is not allowed, apparently. So, no, I'm kidding. But big up David, by the way, in the comments. Let's talk about Wolves and the Wolves team coming into this. Like I said before, it is going to be a change of system for Wolves as we played them last season. Usually they are playing 5 at the back, but looking at their team now with 4 at the back, Chiquinho, Raul Jimenez definitely out injured. Yep. João Moutinho is a doubt, 25% chance of playing. He's probably not going to play. This is a similar team to what they played last week, but last week they had Gibbs White in there, but he's obviously moved on now. He's gone to Forest for I think 35, 45 million or something crazy like that.
Insane.
How does anyone justify spending that kind of money on him? It makes no sense to me.
When I saw that, Ben, I thought I was reading one of those fake Romano accounts or something like that. And I had to look again and I was like, no way, they've just paid 45 million for him. Gibbs, they've paid 45 million for Gibbs White. Wasn't he a former Arsenal player, wasn't he? Was it him who was the Arsenal player?
I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but when I heard his name, I thought that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that he was playing for Arsenal before, but yeah, when I saw that, I mean, I was thinking that is just one of the most insane transfers to pay 35 million.
He came through the youth at Wolves.
Oh, he came through the youth. Okay, right, fair enough. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, he went to some other clubs on loan, but
we're probably talking about the other. They used to have Gibbs, didn't they? Left back.
There was. I don't know why I thought that was him, but yeah, I remember Gibbs at left back. But yeah, look, I think what's interesting with that team selection for tomorrow, that's potentially most likely going to happen. I think it's different because they usually like to play us with a back 5, and I think it's going to play into our hand a bit. I think we don't like playing against teams with back 5s. I think because when they set up like us, they compete. Like look at what happened with Chelsea. Look what happened with Brighton when they set up a back 5 against us. They beat us at our home ground. Wolves normally beat us when they play a back 5. Now they're going to play a back 4. I think it's going to suit Sonny, Romero, suit Kulu, and Kane as well tomorrow. So I think it's going to be an interesting battle. It's going to be really interesting to see.
If you bring up that formation one once again, the predicted Wolves lineup, and we'll go through their team. So Sarr in goal, very good goalkeeper. Johnny and Aït-Nouri on the wings, which ain't too bad. Kilman and Collins, which is an interesting one because obviously Cody's gone, like we mentioned before. Yeah. And it feels like Kilman and Collins from Burnley last season already striking up a bit of a partnership there at the back.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kilman before. Collins obviously complements him with different attributes. And I think that's, a defence that we're going to have to get at tomorrow because, they're going to be very solid, very composed and very organised as well. Especially, coming in from a Burnley defence, you're always going to be like that. So how do we get at this defence this weekend?
I think it's going to have to come from the way Conte wants to play the system, really, is the wing-backs and the wingers. I think they're going to be very crucial. And again, Harry Kane has to perform. If Harry Kane performs and... it depends because I don't know if they're going to play a high line tomorrow because Wolves, they sometimes play a high line and sometimes they don't. It just depends. And I haven't really taken too much notice of how they've been playing with this new system. They haven't been hitting the ground running sort of thing. They've kind of been all right. But it's one of those things where it can always grow, and you just don't want that to happen against you, and that's the thing. And I think again, our front three is going to be the most important thing if we want to win. As long as we can keep the back line kind of solid and not make too many mistakes, I don't think they're going to score that. Well, I said that they might score quite a lot, but the
thing is, they rarely score more than 1 goal a game.
But whenever they come to Spurs, they always score more than 1 or 2, don't they? It's always Spurs. We always break. I'll be honest. I think it'll be like a 2 or 3-1 tomorrow. I think to Spurs. I do think we'll win. I just think that the formation change is going to be a big part of reason why. If they somehow went for a back 5 tomorrow, then I'd be looking for a lot tighter game. I think we seem to struggle against those back 5, because what happens is the wing backs, they seem to not get into the box as much, or they don't get in behind as much. Then it depends if they want to double up on someone like Kulu, like Chelsea did. They doubled up on Kulu, so he was having hardly any joy on that side. And then it's whether other players step up or not, and that's the key thing. If they step up and do what they're supposed to do, then we're going to have a bit more creative joy. But that's always my worry when the team plays a back 5 against us.
Yeah, it's true.
What do you think, Ben? What do you think for their formation change? Do you think?
I think it plays into our hands.
Yeah,
I think it plays into our hands, because I think it's so hard to play against them when they play that back 5, especially as it's matched up against us on the pitch. You know, it's literally going man for man, and it's like whoever wants it more on the day, whoever's got more quality on the day, obviously wins the game. And how many times have we said it against Wolves that we got coming into this game? Oh, we should win this game, and then we come unstuck against this Wolves side, especially at home. It happens time and time again. So I think if they play 4 at the back, that obviously takes away a man from their defence, and that will give us a bit of an advantage when we go and attack them. But on the other side to that, they are a very good defensive team.
Yeah.
But I think they have been able to be got at a bit more this season because they don't have that 5 at the back, and because they're not so used to playing that system as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of proves it in the kind of one-to-watch graphic, which we'll bring up in a second, because Jose Sarr is 5th in the Premier League for the amount of saves he's made this season already.
Do you know?
2nd in the season. I know he's a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is brilliant.
Very good goalkeeper, but if you're 5th in the league for the amount of saves you've made, that means your goal is coming under attack.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that's true. So I think we might have a bit more joy in terms of getting at them because of the formation that they're going to play. Like you said, they're not used to it. I'm just really excited to see how Kulu's going to do tomorrow, because he had a bit of a bad game, and I know he doesn't have too many bad games. I know last season, whenever he had a bad game, he came back firing every single time. So I'm excited to see how he does tomorrow, and I think if we get a victory tomorrow, I think he's going to be key again. I think he's just phenomenal, Kulusevski. And do you know what's interesting, Ben? It's also to see if you think Conte's, I don't know, we'll probably get into this, but about if you think Conte's going to change personnel at all or anything like that. I know we'll get into it, but just on touching on Jose Sarr for a minute, for me, if that's who I want to replace Hugo Lloris, I think he's a brilliant keeper.
Interesting.
But the only thing is, I know he's a bit more in his late 20s, isn't he? So I'm not sure if Spurs are going to go for a young keeper.
I think he's a very good keeper. I rate him a lot, but I think to replace Hugo Lloris, I think we're going to be looking at a younger keeper that can be there for the next 10 years or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And, you know, rumours about Meslier from Leeds and stuff like that. But look, we'll see what happens with that one. But another player, well, let's talk about actually the midfield battle first, because it's going to be a tough midfield battle. You've got Dendoncker and Ruben Neves in there.
Top players.
You know, hard-working players, gritty players, especially with Neves, knows where the goal is and has a bloody good shot on him.
Yeah.
How do you think they compare, or how do you think they will compare on the pitch to Højbjerg and Bentancur if it is them?
It's going to be hard to say, because whenever we play against hard-working midfielders, we always have a tough time in midfield. The prime example, I know it's Chelsea, right? But Kante and Jorginho, they were working tirelessly against us, and they completely outrun us in the midfield. The amount of times Jorginho was getting on the ball, they were in our faces, and Højbjerg and Bentancur couldn't cope with it. The last time I saw them like that against a top team, well, even though they were performing badly, was against Man United when we lost to a Ronaldo masterclass. I remember that was Bentancur's probably worst game in his Spurs shirt, and he went completely missing. Now, the biggest thing for me is that if them two can really dominate the midfield together, personally, I think they're good in certain games against certain teams. But when you're playing against someone who's really going to work like press you and really going to force you into errors and stuff like that. I think they seem to struggle together. Personally, I would love to see Basuma start. The question is who is going to replace Basuma for, because it's weird, because most people probably say the partnership they want to see the most is Bentancur and Basuma, but there's obviously something there, because every single manager refuses to drop Højbjerg and they all love him, and because of what he can offer. So it kind of looks like at the moment, if he's going to pair anyone with anyone, it's going to be someone with Højbjerg. I don't know. What do you think on it? Do you think the midfield? Do you think them two, Bentancur and Højbjerg, need a change, or do you think they're good enough to go into the game tomorrow and get us a victory? Or do you think maybe we do need a bit more steel in that midfield? Someone like a Basuma who can really kind of cover a lot of ground. He gets in people's faces. He's aggressive. He's strong. He's big. He's quick.
I don't see why Højbjerg and Bentancur wouldn't be good enough to win this game tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're more than good enough. I mean, Højbjerg has been an absolute mainstay in this team, especially since Conte's come in, and Bentancur as well has been a revelation. But when you talk about a revelation, you're talking about a revelation against Harry Winks, so it's not the hardest thing to do. Let's be honest.
That's true. I think the bar was, Ben. It was so low.
Exactly, but that's the facts of the matter, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd love to see Basuma come in. I really would. My preferred midfield partner and the partnership which I'm most excited to seeing is actually Basuma and Skipp.
Really?
That's the partnership that I'm really looking forward to, because I think Skipp adds something so good to this team. I mean, his energy, his prowess. It's not just the way he defends at the back, but the way he drives forward as well. And I think that whenever I've seen Skipp play, he gets better and better every game. And injuries have stifled him so badly, so much. And I think that when both of them have a good run in the team, I actually think Skipp's going to be better than Højbjerg. I really believe that.
Do you really honestly believe that Skipp will be better?
Yeah, I do.
I think, do you know what? I think if Skipp can get rid of these injury niggling issues that he keeps getting, and he actually gets a consistent run. I mean, last season, how important was Skipp in our team? He was
our most important player.
Yeah, he was our most important player till he got injured, wasn't he? And that's why we had to go and bring in, because I got a funny feeling if Skipp wasn't injured, I don't think Conte would have brought in another midfielder, if I'm honest. And then we would have run the risk of maybe not even getting top four, because he would have thought, okay, Skipp and Højbjerg are fine in that midfield. What I like about Skipp is I think he's even better defensively than Højbjerg is. I think Højbjerg's really good at intercepting the ball, and he's really good at winning the ball back. But I think Skipp's a lot more aggressive, and they all offer something similar but all different at the same time. And that's where it's hard to see who the best partnership's going to be. But that is an interesting. I haven't actually heard anyone say Skipp and Basuma, but again, it's something that we probably will see, because I think the key for Conte is his versatility and his rotation. I think it's to keep players fit and keep everyone kind of pushing each other to really get into that team and keep everyone happy as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of different types of mixtures of combinations of players in that midfield. We might even see, at times, we might see three of them play. So we've got different ways that we can do three of them. We could have a Skipp, Bentancur and Højbjerg. You could have a Skipp, Basuma and Højbjerg. It's so nice that you can have the different options. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who. I think tomorrow he will go with Højbjerg and Bentancur. I don't think he'd change it.
The thing is, though, it's interesting because tomorrow is actually the start of the really busy period, because next week we got. Is it next week? No, it's the week after, isn't it? That we got West Ham. So it's actually not this week. It's next week against Forest. I think you'll see a few more changes. But I think this weekend against Wolves, you're probably going to see the same lineup as we saw with bar Sanchez and Romero.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll probably see the same lineup, and then maybe when Forest come along and the games start coming with the midweek games and the Champions League start coming on, that's when you're going to see Conte really utilise his squad.
And I'm quite excited for that, because I'm really intrigued to see how he's going to rotate players. Obviously, there's always going to be people talking about Perisic. There's going to be people talking about which right wing back they're going to play. And yeah, I think with the I know we'll probably get into this after, but I want to touch on Perisic as well, because I know loads of people probably want to see Perisic play. But yeah,
I would love to see Perisic play, and if I was going to make one change of the new signings to come in, that's what I would do.
I've asked people this question, right? Because I think everyone would love to see Perisic play. If he's 100% fit, he's got to play. He's a top player. My thing is on him is I think Conte will play him as soon as he's 100% fit. After the last game in his post-match, he was saying that he still wasn't 100% fit. So that's where I think that I don't think he will play to start. I think he'll come on again from that last 15, 20 minutes maybe to impact the game, which he did against Chelsea. And I think he'll do that again. For me, if I was to give him a bit more rest, where I would like to see him start, if he's fit, is the West Ham game. Because that's a game where it's always West Ham's cup final. They always think it's their hardest game of their season, their biggest game of their season. That's all they really care about. They don't care about nothing else, just beating Spurs. So if we can have Perisic for a game like that, I think he'll show them what a real top footballer is all about, in my opinion.
Big up to West Ham, by the way, and their massive European night last night. So really, really big win for you guys. So, but nah, jokes aside, I think I think you're right. I'd love to see Perisic start that West Ham game. I really would. But back onto the Wolves team for a second. We've gone through their midfield and defence. Let's just go through their attack quickly because Gibbs White is out. He's been starting there last couple of games. They got a new signing in Guedes coming from Valencia, who had 11 goals and 6 assists in La Liga last year.
Quite a good turn.
He can play up front. He can play on the wing. He can play even number 10. So, I mean, a very versatile player. You've got him, you've got Podence, you've got Neto, who you've spoken about, you've got Hwang as well. A tricky little attack there,
I was about to say, yeah. They're very, agile type players. They're very quick. They're all kind of quick. They're quick on their feet. They're quick with the ball. They're very, like you said, tricky is the word. They're good on both feet. Majority of them are. I think all of them are actually good on both feet. So they're going to cause us problems because... we know what we're like. We know what Tottenham are like when we come up against a team who've got fast attackers. It's whether or not, for me, I think, again, it's the midfield battle where the game's going to be won tomorrow. I think if we want to stop Wolves scoring or really going at us, those midfield options, whoever plays, they're going to have to help out that defence as much as they can, and they've got to cover as much ground as they can if we really want to pull something out of the bag tomorrow. Because they have got a very tricky attack. We've seen it before with Wolves against us when it's always they always cause us problems, don't they, with their attackers?
Always cause us problems. But historically, not historically, but in the last year, maybe since Nuno has left them, I mean, they found it hard to score goals. They have, because last season they rarely scored over a goal a game. The back end of last season, they weren't scoring any. They're on terrible form. They've started the season. Start of the season this year, they've not been scoring. I think they've lost their first 2 games, Wolves. So I mean, they're going to come out with a point to prove this game. They need to kickstart their season, especially with the change of system and stuff like that. And when you look back at last season, why they struggled to score goals, Pedro Neto was out for the whole season.
He was.
Raul Jimenez was out for a long stretch of time. I mean, Jimenez is out again today, and I think that's a massive miss for them.
Yeah,
because he's
definitely.
like that focal point. He's that focal point up front for them, and he really brings other players into the game as well.
And he loves scoring against us as well. I think that volley he scored last season against us was an unbelievable volley. But again, it was bad defending, wasn't it? They just let him have the ball, and that was a brilliant goal. But do you know, I think that he's going to be a big miss for them tomorrow. And do you know what? I'll be honest. If we were to go and get like 3 or 4 goals, say we get 4 goals tomorrow, it's like a 4-1 victory or 4-0 even, I think that really will show people where our level is. And I know I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves or anything. All I'm saying is that I think it shows how far we've come from last season when we lost 2-0 at home to them to now, especially when a few days ago we basically drew to Chelsea when we played absolute shit. If we're in all honesty, we were awful, and we still managed to come away with a point. And that's why the Chelsea fans were crying days afterwards. Salty Chelsea fans. But,
Proper.
Yeah, but look, if we were to go and have a big victory tomorrow, it really would show how much we've improved. I think. I don't know about you, but I think
I agree, and it's important on this run now to pick up as many wins as we can, because just around the corner we got Man City away, we got Arsenal away, we got all these big away games coming up, West Ham away, so it's important for us now to go on a run and really to put away the teams that we should be putting away. And then if we can get those results at the Emirates, at the Etihad and stuff like that, what a position we're in.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. It'd be absolutely brilliant. And do you know what, Ben? I think the biggest key, what I've seen in the last sort of, 10 games, for me, is Tottenham's the way the team spirit is and their team mentality at the moment. It's like they're starting to embody an Antonio Conte team where there's that never die attitude, never give up. You saw it at Chelsea. We went 2-1 down within. We obviously they scored first. We scored. They scored again a few minutes after, and then we went and we just never gave up. We just kept going, even though we were playing bad. We just kept going and going and going. And I think the key to having a successful season this season is when we are playing that bad and we really can't get a win, we have to just not lose. That's the key. As long as we can pick up a point when we're playing that badly against whatever team it is, then, because there's always games where, like last season, where, for example, Brighton at home, right? It wasn't the greatest game, but we just couldn't score against them. We just couldn't do anything. We weren't getting shots in. We weren't doing anything, and then they go and win it right at the end. Those are the type of games where if you can't win, you have to not concede, and you have to not lose that game.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key for us this season. And I think we will see that more. I think we will.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Completely agree. But that is that on the match preview. What's the score prediction you're going for? You said, what did you say?
I said 4-2. Then I said 3-1. Do you know? I think I'm gonna go 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. And Kulu's gonna get one of them.
I said on the Predict the Prem, I said 2-0 Spurs. I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
I think that we're going to be solid at the back. First clean sheet of the season's got to come at some point.
It'd be nice to come at Wolves.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to come at Wolves. And like I said, yes, Wolves do like to score a goal against us or two, but on the other side, they are struggling for goals, and they've been struggling for goals for a while. And without Raul Jimenez there, I think that they lack that focal point up there. And I think we'll be able to stifle maybe Hwang or Guedes, whoever it'll be up front. And also, you're looking at someone like Guedes coming in his first start in the Premier League, and that's never easy.
No,
it's never easy, especially coming up against an organised Antonio Conte side. So I'm going for a clean sheet this week, and I'm going for a 2-0 win.
I hope you're right. It'd be nice to get the clean sheet. I'd rather a 2-0 win and more goals, because I think we need to start getting those clean sheets, because I think it's good for the clean sheet, helps their confidence and their belief as well, especially when Romero's not playing. It will be good for all of those defenders and to get that clean sheet. So I'd love for that to happen.
Absolutely. So that is our match preview. Before we start bringing on guests, it's your time to have your say. The link is in the community section right now. We'll get you through a few super chats. And first up is Brian Daigle, member for 24 months. Big up, Brian. He says, big up everyone in the chat. Hope you are all well. Big up my brothers Ben and Danny Kiriakou. Have a great weekend, everyone. 3-1 to the Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. So he agrees with you. Amir Sada, and a member for 18 months. Big up Amir. We got all Tottenham on tour going on today. What's going on? He goes, big up Ben and Danny. Great preview. 3 points and a good performance is needed after Kane's fantastic last gasp header. Come on, you Spurs. Completely agree. Was there one more? No, that was it.
That was it. Yeah,
that was it. All right. So, I mean, the Tottenham on tour invasion just keeps on happening, keeps on happening. I think you want that one.
That one.
And I can see him bracing up. Well, it's amateur hour here on WeAreTottenhamTV.
What's going on here?
Now move that through there.
Yeah, that's it.
And there we go. Yeah. And now we are good to go. And as I was saying, the Tottenham on tour invasion keeps coming, and we've got Brian Daigle here to talk us through the preview for Wolves. He's shaking his head, Brian. Well, what's going on?
What's going on, Brian?
What's going on with the headset, boys? What is going on with the headset?
It was tangled, mate. It was tangled.
It happens. It's life, right?
You look like you were doing Lady in the Tramp with the spaghetti and the meatballs.
How you doing, Brian, my brother?
We're
all good, my brother. All good. How are you, Danny Kerry?
I'm good, Brian. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, brother. All good. So yeah, another weekend comes, and another weekend where I wear the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's brought us a lot of luck. This shirt. Is it? Where is it now? Is it sitting nicely in the freezer?
I've actually found a different compartment for it. I'm not going to say where it is because Ilana's near me. It's kind of like I'm hiding it in different locations.
It's like stealth mission every time you have to hide
It's
it.
literally this shirt is being hidden better than Bin Laden when he was hiding. You know what I mean? Literally. But Brian, big game this weekend against Wolves.
Yep.
A team who we struggled against at home since they've come into the Premier League. How do you assess this game, and what's your thoughts on the game?
Well, what I will say is I was at that game last season. That first half was probably the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen live at Tottenham. In all honesty, and I've seen some bad 45 minutes. That 45 minutes was shambolic. We need revenge, like we did with Southampton last week, the opening day. I think we're going to get the win. I think we need it. We need it. If we're going to, like Danny was just saying, to keep this momentum going, we've got to get another 3 points. Then we've got to make sure we don't make it hard work on ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking at Wolves, you know, they've changed system this season to play a 4 at the back. I mean, they were kind of slightly changing in the back end of the Nuno season with them. They changed to a 4 at the back. Then Bruno Lager came back in last year, changed it back to 5 at the back. How do you think that changes the game tactically if they go to 4 at the back? Do you think that plays into our hands a little bit?
I think it does, but I think it will also help. You were talking about before. I love the guy that Forest have just bought. I think he's going to be a superstar. I don't think he's 42. Yeah, I don't think he's 42 million pounds worth of talent just yet. But I think he is a very, very, very good player. So that's going to make
Nunez, right? Is it Nunez or something?
No, the one that's just that what Gibbs White.
Gibbs White.
Oh, Gibbs White. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's a very, or will be a very, very good player. Wolves just don't know what they're doing really at the moment, do they? Back 5, back 3. I mean, I still don't understand the Conor Cody deal to Everton. I just don't understand what's going on.
I'll tell you what the Wolves people were saying to us. They said that because they wanted to move away from a 5 at the back, Conor Cody can only really play in a 5 at the back. And also he spoke with the manager, and the manager said, look, in a 4 at the back, you're probably not going to be playing as much. And he wanted to go play consistently week in, week out.
Okay, so thank you, Ben. That's cleared that one up.
Brian, you know, do you think then? Do you think? So obviously they've changed. They've obviously sold Conor Cody or gone on. He's gone on loan because they can't. They don't want to play the 5 at the back anymore. Do you think that's similar to us then? Because do you not think some of our players are very restricted to that 3 at the back? Because Ben Davies and Dyer, they can't really play in a back 4. Romero probably could do it. I know he hasn't really done it.
You saw it at Stamford Bridge, didn't you?
Yeah.
You saw it at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
You know, for that second goal that we conceded, Dyer goes wandering, chasing the ball, and that leaves Ben Davies all on his own. It looks as though those 2 players specifically, I don't think, can play in a back 4.
Do you not think that's a worry then? Do you not think that's a worry for us then?
You're asking me that question. If you want to give me a loaded gun, just fire away. So yeah, 1 billion %. I mean, as the boys reported, and then Danny, you let me know because I was at work, that Romero picked up this injury. It highlights just how badly this defence needs a bit of work. We need that flexibility that if we do need to go to a back 4, there are players that can actually play in it. And Romero, I would say, is the only one, like you said. So I think it's a huge concern. Whilst we're playing a back 3, it's okay. I still want to see an upgrade on Dyer. I really want to see an upgrade on Dyer. But they cannot play a back 4. Davies and Dyer cannot play in a back 4, unfortunately. And that's just where they are in their careers. That's not, you know, if you're going to play in a back 3, then fine, you're suited to it. But if you want that flexibility to be able to adapt the team and go to a back 4, you need to be able to trust the players back there. And I don't trust Dyer and Davies in a back 4, without a doubt.
What's your opinion on Sanchez? I mean, I probably know what your opinion on Sanchez is, but what's your opinion on, you know, Sanchez coming in for this Wolves game, potentially for the next game as well? Is it going to hinder us? What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, don't know about it, because I'm actually one of the ones that will try and back Sanchez up. Because like I said last season, Sanchez is one of those players, is if he needs to come in for a short burst of time, he plays well. He's the only player I know that a lot of players need minutes to get into form. Sanchez needs the exact opposite. The more minutes he plays, the shitter he gets.
So
So
true.
seriously,
It's true. Yeah,
you have other players that come in. You have other players that come in. You say, yeah, he needs minutes. He's not fit. He needs to get game minutes. He needs to get match fitness. Sanchez comes in, does a job for like 3-4 games, and then he needs to be taken out. He needs to go because that's when problems start occurring. We saw it last season. He came in when we thought, oh no, and there were 3 clean sheets. All right, 2 of them were Norwich and Burnley, but there were games we just had to win, and we kept 3 clean sheets. So he can do a job. He just cannot do it long term. So I think he'll be okay tomorrow. I really do. But again, that's another player that needs upgrading for the long. Like when you want players to come in and have a longer run in the team. If Romero was out for 3 months, it would be panic stations. But for however many games it may be, I think he'll be able to do a job. But then needs to be taken out straight away.
Yeah, and in terms of potentially where maybe Conte's head's at the moment, do you think any changes this weekend? Any of the new signings to start?
So I want to see Basuma.
Yes.
I really do. As much as I love Perisic, and Perisic is my favourite sign, like Danny said, until he's 100% fit, I think he's going to come on and be an impact sub. And boy, was he an impact sub on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
But I just think Basuma, if Basuma had been in that midfield at the beginning, I was saying before the game, that's the one I would have wanted on, because we need someone to stamp their authority in that midfield and just take one of their midfielders out, like he did with Kane when he came as Brighton last season. So I want to see Basuma, and against Chelsea,
but
I would have said
Brian, on Basuma, do you want to see him play in this game because you think he'll be suited specifically for this game, or just because you want to see him because he's a new signing and you're really excited to see him play?
If I had to give my honest opinion on that, I think it's a little bit of the latter one. Chelsea, I think he was more suited to the game. Chelsea, I really, really wanted him in to do that marking job, but I want to see more of him. And you know what? I need to throw Richarlison. I was very impressed with Richarlison when he came on, but he's just not going to be taken. He's not going to. We know he ain't going to be a first choice, so it's not even worth putting him in the mix. But Basuma is one I really think is going to. We all know how good he is. I just want to finally see him get some minutes and show it. But I think you're more Ben. I think you're more right with the. I think with the one that you said about me being a bit more excited to see him than just because I think he's suited for this game.
Yeah, and I also think with Basuma, and it goes for all the signings as well. Like I was saying to Danny before, like as soon as we start seeing 2 games in a week, we'll see these players come in and we'll see these players knuckle down. And once Basuma does get his chance in the team, I got a feeling that he probably won't give it up.
Well, I mean, the other thing to look about is with Romero's injury. Does anyone see with we're all saying Davison. Does anyone see? I don't know how you fit him in, but Longley might even get a nod. Do you see him getting a nod anywhere?
Conte did say that he's. Yeah, Conte did say he's ready and he's match fit and everything like that in his press conference, but I can't see us taking out Davis, to be honest.
I'll be very surprised. I'll be very surprised, Brian, if he does start Longley in a game like this. I think. Like Ben was saying, I think once he starts needing to rotate the players, I think then you're going to see him start, because he's got no choice, because he's going to need to keep the players fit, happy. They're going to have to rotate because we're going to have 2-3 games a week at a time. So he's got no choice. I think right now, I even though I'd like to see, like you as well, Brian, I'd like to see Basuma start. The reason I said to Ben, I'd like to see him start, it is partly also because he's a new signing, but I do think when we play teams that they have midfielders that or a team that really presses us, I just feel that at times Højbjerg and Bentancur sometimes can go missing. Like we saw it in the first half of Chelsea. Højbjerg went completely missing. He wasn't that great, and it was the second half where he started playing better. Bentancur was a slightly better player, and even that wasn't a good performance in the first half, and then he kind of became the worst player in the second half. I think that. And they obviously, well, the thing is, the worst thing about it was that it was the midfield battle where we lost that game. They were all over us in the midfield. We just couldn't get a hold of the ball, and that's where my concern is. Just in a sense where when we play a team that presses us and they're good with the ball, like Wolves, because Wolves are a team that are quite good on the ball, and they do press. I think we do need a different type of midfielder in that midfield, like a Basuma, who can really get around that pitch, and he's strong, he's powerful,
resistant as well.
He's press resistant. Now, I think that's the key thing. That's what we need, I believe, in this type of game. Obviously, I don't think he's gonna start, but I think we'll see how the first half goes, and then we'll see if he's gonna come on or not. Because I think if he doesn't start, he will come on at some point. Yeah, for me, if it was me, I would probably, I don't know. Me personally, I want to see Basuma and Bentancur, but I just got a feeling that he wants to see Højbjerg paired with someone first, because he really trusts Højbjerg more than any of those midfielders. So if he's going to change anyone, based on what I think Conte would do, I think he would change Bentancur for Basuma.
There you go.
What do you think? Would you like to see that, or would you like to stick with how it is right now?
Do you know what? It's such a tough one to choose. I mean, like you said, we need to see someone that can offer us something different in midfield, and we really do. We saw it against you. Like you said, one had a great or went missing in the first half. One went missing in the second half. How about we have someone that's actually on their form for 90 minutes? I can actually put in a performance, and that was just in that game. That's not me having a. And I just think it's come to the time where Basuma, even if he doesn't start, to get a longer, more minutes than what he's had previously, because he's come on with like 15 minutes to go or something like that. I want to see more from him. I think with these 5 subs, he can afford to make one early, if need be. That is obviously, and that one could be Basuma.
Yeah, I agree. If he gets more time, that's if anything, that's probably what we all want to see. We just want to see him have a bit more game time to see what he's like.
Completely agree. I mean, there's so many to come through. When do we actually go? It goes 2 games a week from September, doesn't it?
September, yeah.
So we got from next week.
Is it
from next weekend? Next weekend. Next weekend we got Forest, then we got West Ham midweek.
Oh Jesus, I've been working.
So next weekend we play. Is it Sunday we play Forest or Saturday?
We play them on Sunday. And we play Forest on Sunday, week. Then West Ham on Wednesday, and then we got Fulham on the Saturday, I think, or the Sunday.
Yeah, so we've got 3 games.
Oh
in
wow,
that week.
That means taking tablet to work day.
So also the Champions League is going to come back very soon as well.
Exactly. And the draws there, I can't believe already at the 19th of August. What the hell is going on with this year?
The draw's on Thursday.
It's insane. But yeah, there's still. Look, I must admit, Longley, like I mentioned before, is one I'm actually getting very excited to see.
So am I.
I really am, because as you see, we just need that boy that can put. I want to see more of his passing ability. I think he could unlock so much, and you forget his passing ability could take a lot of pressure off the midfield. He's one I'm getting more and more excited to see. But Basuma is the one at the moment. Until, like I said, Perisic, when he's 100% fit, walks in, and then we see him go. Maybe the West Ham game will be his first 90 minutes. That wouldn't be bad. Get him 100% ready for that, because we always struggle there. But
that's what I was saying, Brian. I want to see him start against West Ham.
Let's hope so. I mean, the way it's going, we started off well. We started off brightly. I mean, picking up that point from Stamford Bridge was massive, absolutely massive. And now, hopefully, come Saturday, we can carry on.
All right, Brian, just before we let you go, I know you've already given your score prediction in the Super Chat, but for anyone that missed it, let us know your score prediction.
The score prediction is 3-1. 3-1 Tottenham, and I wish we could keep a clean sheet, but like my T-shirt, there will be a stain.
Big up, Brian.
Big up, man.
Thanks for coming on, as always, and we'll speak to you soon.
Just quickly, the Late Show tonight, 8 p.m. We are 1 p.m. UK time, me, Ireland, and
1 a.m.
1 a.m. your time. Sorry, if Danny Kiriaku's still awake or not doing anything, he may join. But me and Brian Ireland will be there.
Come on,
I'll be there for a little bit.
Okay, for Danny, it's started at 11:30 your time.
I swear, Danny, last time you were like, "Yeah, I'm only staying on for half an hour or something." You end up with 3 hours.
Yeah, for the whole show. Yeah. I'll be dead going to the game tomorrow if I do that.
That will be on. Everyone, have a great weekend, and of course, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Big up Brian Daigle as
Brian.
always. Obviously, go and subscribe to Tottenham on Tour and tune in to the show tonight. Well, I say tonight, tomorrow morning, 1 a.m. The late show with Tottenham on Tour. Absolutely brilliant stuff. I think episode 3 tonight.
Episode 3, yeah.
It's a really good show, and I think the viewers are growing week on week as well. So good stuff there. Got a super chat here from Bob Spur TV. Piss off, Bob. And
Piss off, Bob. Yeah, that's what we should say. Yeah.
Big up, piss off.
Yeah, piss off.
And he says, big up, you beautifully average-looking lads. 4-1 Spurs. Can't wait for the Champions League night at the studio. Tell Daigle he smells of plop. Maybe his shirt smells of plop, that's for sure, with the way, with all his stains and stuff on it. But let's keep going with the guests. And next up, oh, go on. Casemiro, here we go.
Yep.
To Manchester United.
Just a bit of breaking news from...
Romano has tweeted. When was that tweet? Just now?
About 10 minutes ago.
Oh, 10 minutes ago. So, yeah, Casemiro, Man United turning into a bit of a Real Madrid retirement home these days. So
70 million euros. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money for someone of that age, but I think it's a very good signing.
Yeah, he's a great player.
It's a very good signing.
He's an older player, but I think he'll do well.
He will do well, and I think that's exactly what their midfield needs, a bit of steel in there.
Yeah.
And, he's a very good player. Yeah, definitely. Let's go on to our next guest, and he goes by the name of the Joracle. You might have seen him in a star-studded appearance in the vlog last week at Chelsea, but let's bring him on. Jory, how you doing, my man?
Big up, Jory.
I'm good, guys.
You got home safely?
Yeah, we're good.
I got home safely, yes. And once again, Ben, thank you for the great honor, and thank you, Grandpa, for letting me buy his ticket. It was an amazing game, to be honest. I have to say something. I learned a lot in that game.
What did you learn, Jory?
I learned first and foremost how eagle-eyed you and your brother are. The way you could break down the game from the stands. I was struggling, I need my TV to be able to see the lines and whatever, and you and Sim were completely.
Jory, let me just stop you there.
everything.
I think that's mainly Sim. I think I look through the game more with my beer goggles.
Well, you saw everything, every fight that was going on, and every shout that was going on. So but Sim was quite impressive to do a real-time breakdown while the crowd going insane. But you know that as already. So, but yeah, thanks a lot, guys. It was a blast, absolute blast.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to spend the day with you. Had a really good time, and obviously a really good ending when Harry Kane knocked that in right in the last minute. The absolute pandemonium in the away end, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Like I said, like if you have to draw, that's the way to do it. And we went away from that victorious, and they went away from that defeated. Even though the points are shared. The morale is not shared. We went away with that with our heads held high, and they went with their heads bowed. So it couldn't be any better in terms of a draw, I think. And like you guys also touched on, like this is probably one of those fixtures that's the hardest for us to get over. That and maybe Burnley after a massive win against a big club, then.
When you're looking at this game against Wolves this weekend, how do you think that Spurs will be taking confidence from that result against Chelsea, or do you think it's not really related at all?
Well, I think kind of the opposite. I think Conte will both take himself to task and the squad. It wasn't good enough, the play we saw, as we know. And you've been talking about it a lot, and I agree, like our midfield, the double pivot, we don't have strong enough, we don't have to press resistant enough midfielders to be able to do that double pivot against top teams like Chelsea, So I think Højbjerg will always be a target. as good as Højbjerg was one of the better players in the game,
Yeah, he
but
was.
it kind of, if they target Højbjerg, the whole midfield kind of breaks down. Bentancur has a little bit more, he can buy himself a little bit more time, but he also risk maybe more. There's more danger going back. But actually, as in that game to start with, Sonny seemed to be a little bit the press target also, and as we know, when Sonny is not 100% clicking, his first touch is so brutal.
Bad.
If the
Yeah.
ball gets so far from him, so he is an obvious press target, I think, and I think they've been working on that probably all week, and I think also Conte needs now to once again start working with the midfield five again, with like three in midfield instead of just the double pivot, because
We do go with three in midfield, then what do we do? You're saying a 3-5-2. If we do play a
yeah,
3-5-2
exactly.
with three midfielders, then you're going to put Kane and Son up top. Then where does that leave Kulusevski?
Exactly. Well, he could play the 10. He's been brought up as a 10. He's always fancied himself as a 10. So you could definitely have him as a 10. But there's also, maybe this is one of those where you might have to forgo Kulusevski to start off with and have a Basuma instead, and then maybe change formation once we're through the rough patch. Once we have a little bit of a cushion to work with. I think a game like Chelsea, for example, it shows how little margin you have for. I mean, we even got away with it, but in terms of the midfield play, we had no margin. As soon as the ball went out from the back, they were on us. And yeah, I think once you deal with quality like that, then you really need to play the numbers game, especially with our squads. I think our back three also is not strong enough to take a onslaught like that.
Do
And
you?
I think yeah, sorry.
No, go on, Joey. I'll ask you a question after.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I also think like our back three, as good as it's been, I think it's still needing the leader. One thing that I did, for example, learn, I think I mentioned it to you guys, is once you're at the game, and I know this from local games, but it's different seeing Tottenham. This is only my second game. A game is also really a lot and quite impressive. And even though I knew it, I still didn't get the right idea from watching Tottenham on TV. So I'm not knocking his leadership ability or anything. I'm just saying Dyer himself maybe struggles with the heavy press himself. He's likely to falter under that kind of pressure. So I really think, in terms of our project, we need that leader in the middle still. As good as Dyer's been for us, once we get a Bastonian and we have Romero and Bastoni, I don't think Dyer is that leader in the middle for
No.
that kind of a level of
Yeah,
defense. I really think a Skriniar or something is that guy. So
I think you can see that,
and
Jory, can't you? You can see
yeah.
the level of what we're trying to build, because I think if you go back to the prime Poch years, players, not to knock like how good Dyer and Davis have been, but they were our backup players. They were our backup players then. We had a lot better players, and the reason why we were like good was because we were able to bring them in for short periods, and they were able to do a job. Well, now they become our mainstay. It's like that's where we need better quality in order to push on, and I think Conte knows that. And with this game in particular coming up on Saturday, tomorrow, do you think we need to start someone like Basuma for the type of football maybe Wolves might play tomorrow, or do you think Højbjerg and Bentancur can cope together tomorrow?
I think they can cope, but I also think that Wolves will have looked at this game and use it as a game plan themselves. What I would love to see is for us to get get comfortable enough with simply fluently switching to the three midfield. Just making Kulusevski drop or even Kane drop for a little period, simply to stop that press leaking that we saw there. If that's happening, Conte give the order on the sideline and they switch to a three in the midfield, and we can contain it like that. We really got lucky, I think, with Chelsea, that we managed to contain them to the one goal. Or lucky, or I mean, it's lucky, and it's Chelsea's lack of clinical play in the last third. So it's a combination of those two things, but I really think, like, waiting for the halftime or something to make these formational changes when we're up against these kind of managers that are like the chess game that we saw in that Chelsea game. I think we should get our squad to a place where they can basically switch formation during play and stop these kind of leakages, and also then maybe revert back to the formation once there's been a reaction on the other side, and maybe gain some tactical advantage in that way. But in general, yes, I think Wolves will probably be putting a lot of pressure on our double pivot this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got the players to do it with Ruben Neves and Dendoncker in the middle there. Two top players.
Yeah. Exactly, and they also have the kind of in general, just the formational discipline to kind of keep it up throughout the game, where like this kind of tactics often becomes an odds game. If you keep it up and you keep your discipline in X amount of minutes, the likelihood is that you're going to get X amount of joy. Whereas we've seen this with our team. We've sometimes started out with great shape and formation. Even the Chelsea game, we actually started out pretty good the first 5 minutes, but Tuchel reacted right away, and this is where where we're very we're not that far along on our journey tactically with Conte to be comfortable working like that, whereas Chelsea are completely drilled with what Tuchel wants the reaction to be in that situation. I think the same with Wolves. They are always super drilled in terms of what to do in these kind of situations. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a repeat of the last game. But that being said, we will hopefully have made our fixes in terms of that, and also Wolves do not, as good as their players are, they do not have a Kante in midfield who was absolutely amazing on the day. They do not have a Koulibaly and so on. So there is a difference in quality, and hopefully then our quality will then shine through as well.
Jory, when you're looking at Wolves, they've been on a terrible run. When you look at the back end of last season, you're looking at the start of this season where they lost to Leeds, I think, first game of the season, and then drew with Fulham 0-0 in the last game. They have moved from what... Since they moved into the Premier League, they were playing 5 at the back. They were probably one of the best teams doing it on a consistent basis since they have moved into the Premier League. They've moved to 4 at the back now. Do you think that maybe it's a bit of teething problems at the moment with them moving into 4 at the back, and do you think that can play into our hands?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I actually watched your opposition preview, or what do you call it?
Yeah, the opposition preview.
You touched on that point, and I actually took a lot of hope from that, because I do rate Bruno as a manager. I think he's really good, but in these projects, at some point, you just need to take the hits. At some point, you need to go through the transition, and I think that's what they've decided here. If it is, as you say, they're going to 4 at the back, and they're gonna stick with it. They've committed the outgoing players to this new philosophy, So yeah, I do hope we can be meeting them when they're kind of in between, getting used to this one and getting rid of the old way of playing. So I do think so if they come hard with the press, we should definitely have an answer in terms of breaking their line and I think this is definitely something that should give our attack a lot of joy. If we break the lines and get through on them. So I
Jory,
wouldn't say we should. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
no, go for it. Go for it.
No, no, Danny, you go.
I was going to ask you, right, for this game, who would you like to see start at the right wing back? Because obviously we all similar. Everyone seems to have the opinion of if Perisic is 100% fit, he starts. It's a no-brainer, I think, for everyone. But on the right wing back, it looks like Matt Doherty's fit again. Obviously, we haven't seen Spence yet. Do you think Matt Doherty or Spence deserves a chance, or do you think Emerson? We should stick with Emerson for this game.
He was one of our better players in the Chelsea game. I really think we're coming to a point now where Emerson's defensive work is so high quality that it's gonna be risky to leave him out. I think Conte will tend to, unless until we hit that kind of disastrous moment or anything. I think Conte will try and stick with him and try and improve him more like Sessegnon or Perisic,
Yeah.
and because I thought he was really not up for it in the Chelsea game. This was Sess, I think, he just seems like a player that really hardly enjoys playing football. It's really weird. Even when I don't know, it feels like that sometimes. And because you
It's a
see
weird
him
one.
lose his fight very quickly, even though he can have a lot of fight in him, and he has got the technique and whatever. Okay, if you're being outmatched tactically in a Chelsea game, all right, that's fine. But at least you can fight. You can be feisty. You can do a tactical foul, whatever you can. It's weird. I don't get it.
Especially on the back of the
Yeah.
performance he had against Southampton as well, because he was one of our better
exactly.
players that day as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's
look,
really weird how many times this player has to go through, like just putting it all on the line, and you'll get joy. And
Isn't it, Jory, with him? It's like you sometimes, like, I think arguably the Southampton performance is probably one of his best in a Spurs shirt. It wasn't that great, and he wasn't confident again. He kept, every time he tried to get forward, he was passing back again. He wasn't trying to beat his man, and you could see he wasn't confident. And it's like you said,
No.
it's like he lost his confidence again, and it's like one for his Spurs career in a sense. Then
I definitely think so. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. And if not, then we're probably gonna part ways in the next summer. But I also like it's one of those which you would really hate to see, because it's really at least who's inconsistent, but just like ball watches or makes bad judgment or anything, doesn't get involved to the level that he did the great game before. So, and we all watch all of our players play game, win or lose, is the ones where they put the full fight in. This is why we puts in the midfield. So
yeah. I think Conte sees a bit of himself in Højbjerg, because he wasn't like the most technically gifted or amazing player. He was just a very hard worker, very aggressive, a bit of a leader. He shouts at people. I think, and he's reliable. And I think that's what Conte sees in maybe Højbjerg, and that's why he really trusts him.
Yeah, he's 100. And like there's few things in life that are assured. Taxes, death, and Højbjerg giving a fight. That's basically.
That's very true, Johnny.
I love
Sure
that.
of those three things. Events once in a while, but you have a certain. I talked to that never goes beneath. A X level, both in terms of ability, but most importantly in terms of commitment. In terms of fight. Never go below a certain baseline. Of course, you
Absolutely.
can have a day all of that. And Sess really, he flies up and down that what should be a baseline, you know. So back to your question, I think to be honest, Conte will stick with him for now, just to give him a chance to bounce back. But I think also he might actually sub in the first half if it's not working, if we see similar things. I certainly hope that we'll see a rise from him. But also, I really we need to stop this kind of no baseline kind of performances.
I agree. Completely agree, Jory.
Yeah.
Jory, before we let you go, you know what's coming. Score prediction.
Ooh, score prediction. I was at that game last year. How did that end?
We
2-0, we lost 2-0.
we lost 2-0 last year.
Yeah, that was the first game because I remember that's when I saw you again at that game. It was my second time I met you that day.
The other time was the 100k
Exactly.
party.
Yeah, 100k party. Yeah, because you were with your family that day, weren't you?
Yeah. The whole gang was with me there. Yeah. I would say since it was 2-0, we need to make it 3-0. I mean, we gotta one up them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're saying 3-0? Wow, big scoreline you're going for. I'm loving the confidence. Loving the confidence. I went 2-0. Danny's gone 3-1, so you've kind of split the difference in between. So I love it. Go on,
I will say
something?
this, guys. I will say this. If our setup and recipe works and we break through, I think there'll be plenty of goals. If not, it will be a struggle game. You know, low score and a struggle game. But I do think we will get through those four at the back and have some joy for sure.
All right, big up, Jory. Thanks for coming on today, mate, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, take care, guys, and great show as always.
Thank you.
Great seeing you, Danny.
Likewise,
take care, and I'll see you on the post show, right?
All right, big up,
Jory.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Big up, Jory, as always. Next up, it's me, it's KPV.
Hello there.
You right, Kyle? How you doing?
Good, boys. And you probably already saw it, Danny, but I got my coolest sexy t-shirt yesterday.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it, KPV. It's wicked. I'm thinking of getting one myself as well, mate.
I'm surprised Ben didn't comment on it. No comment from Ben.
Did you have Kulusevski on the back or Kulusexy?
Kulusevski.
See, that's why I didn't comment.
Glenn, seriously, mate. You and I can have a little
Seriously, Ben.
Well, there you go. You're getting my comment now, Carl. I love the shirt.
Love the shirt. Finally.
How you feeling about the game, Carl?
Well, I don't know how I'm feeling about this one because they obviously beat us this year already, and I want revenge. So we've already got revenge at home to Southampton, and we took a point at the bridge, so I'll happily take that. And this game, I want revenge against Wolves, so I'm going 3-0.
3-0. Wow, big
Kulu
words here.
Kulu hat-trick.
Oh, just because you got the shirt?
Yeah, come on. Respect it. Respect,
you might need to get a new shirt every week if Kulusevski scores a hat-trick this weekend.
You wish. I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see. But he's on fire.
Yeah, he is on fire. I mean, when you're looking at the Wolves team, is there anyone in that team that you think that can hurt us?
Pedent.
Tell me why.
Because he scored against us in February, obviously, and yeah. But the good news is there's no Jimenez because he loves to score against us, so I think we can beat them. So the good news is there's no Jimenez. So yeah, and Star got lucky saving a clean sheet against us. So it's time for revenge.
It's time for that revenge, Carl.
I agree, Kyle. I completely agree.
Big up yourself, my friend. Big up yourself. Will we be seeing you on the post-match fan show?
Yeah, but before I go, I want to know why is the link for the pre-match pump up not on the community section anymore, like it was?
Because they're not taking guests on the pre-match pump up anymore.
Well, dickhead.
You're funny, Carl. I love it.
We changed it up, Carl, this year. We changed it up. But don't worry, you can. The link still goes out for this show, and it still goes out for the post-match fan show. So enough time to have your say.
Yeah, and like, just so you know, Ben, there's no disqualifications in FPL, because FPL don't do that. And I see you're going to disqualify a few people that have got Jesus, yeah, but like, I can see that. But I've got Kane, Son, and Kulusevski, and I've got De Bruyne in. So I need
Carl. You know, Carl. I created the league, so I have the power to kick people out.
Well, you haven't seen my team, so I don't take orders from people.
You're not in the league that has the rule.
I'm in the league, damn it. I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it, are you?
Yeah, so, yeah, but I've activated my fleet here because, like, I need to start winning, man. Like, if I want to win, I need some big forwards. Like, which strike can I have? Name me a strike I can have with Kane Mitrovic.
What? How much you were looking to spend?
I've already led my team, but, yeah, like, who's the better striker? Wilson, he ain't going to do good. I know Ben's going, but I'd rather go for, I don't know, the Bournemouth striker, Moore, in Latin. So,
Kiefer Moore over Callum Wilson.
Really?
Well, yeah, Kiefer Moore did score on the opening day, Callum Wilson, but Newcastle, Man City, that's going to be tough. Like,
what about Emmanuel Dennis of Forest?
Oh, okay, not bad. Why not? But,
I'm glad you approve, Carl.
I'm glad you approve. But
Carl,
I'll be back on you again tonight.
Before you go, the most important question is, are you going to wear your Kulusevski shirt tomorrow?
You know the answer. You know I will.
That's what I like to hear.
Later, dude. I'm off.
See you later.
Peace.
See you later, Carl. Come on, you Spurs.
Later. Come on.
And that was the legend, the man, the myth, the legend that is Carl Patrick Vineyard. And I think he's got a bone to pick with this next guy.
Oh, he really does, yeah.
On the pre-match pump-ups. Let's bring him on, the Irish Hotspur.
Big up, Dave.
David, how's it going, my man?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm
good.
absolutely flying. I can't wait for this game, boys. I cannot wait. Oh, they're hungry. It's time to feed them.
Yeah, it really is, man. I mean, like, when you're looking at Wolves since they've come into the Premier League, they usually play well at our place. We usually play well at their place. They've beaten us twice out of the last 3 games at our place. I mean, what do you put that down to? And do you think that form can carry over into this game?
I'll put it down. I just put it down to our mentality when it comes to teams like this. To be honest with you, sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get from this Tottenham team against some of the lower teams. Look, for me, I'll be honest, I'm a bit weary with the half-12 kickoff. Tottenham usually do at half-12 kickoffs take a bit of time to get going and get into the game, so that concerns me.
That's true.
If it is Sanchez that comes in and he's playing at right-sided centre-back with Emerson Royal at right wing-back, that concerns me, because what nobody seems to want to talk about is how awful they looked when they were paired together last season in that middle spell of the season. Europa Conference League, Premier League, they're absolutely awful.
Who was partnered together?
Sanchez was right-sided centre-back and Emerson was right wing-back. They were awful.
They did all right at the back end of last season, didn't they?
Yeah, but look, I mean, they played a relegation team in Norwich. They played 10-man Arsenal. I mean, I could have played that game. You know, Eddie Nketiah wasn't doing anything. So, like, with Davinson Sanchez there, I mean, it's not like he played any, like, major games last season, you know?
Yeah, weren't they paired on that side when we beat Man City first game of the season? Is that right?
Yeah, first 3 games and last 3 games. First 3 games and last 3 games, Sanchez done all right, but it's the middle spell I'm worried about. You know, it's for me. Look, with Davinson Sanchez, I mean, it's for me. I just think the definition of insanity is going with the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, the only area in this squad we haven't really spent the adequate amount of money is centre back. Since Pochettino got sacked and Jose Mourinho came in, Sanchez, Dyer, and Davies has formed a massive part of that back line. and we keep shipping goals. It doesn't matter what the manager, it doesn't matter whether it's Nuno, Jose, or Conte. That backline keeps shipping goals, and it worries me.
No, I take your point completely, but I think that when Sanchez gets dangerous is when he gets in a long run in the team, and I think when he comes in for the odd game here and there, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a problem, and I think that he's a good backup centre-back to have. I really believe that.
I'll be honest, I was listening to you and Danny earlier on. You're triggering me saying that. The way Danny was talking about his pass, and I thought he was talking about Alderweireld. I was like, what's going on here,
No, do you know what it is, Dave? Go on. I'll let you speak.
My problem with Sanchez is he's got so many flaws to his game. Like, he's prone to switching off. So it doesn't matter whether you're dominating the game or you're put under pressure for the 90 minutes. He will switch off. He cannot deal with balls in over his head. We've seen that time and time again. If I was the Wolves manager, I'd be just saying to them, put balls in behind Sanchez and run at him. I don't think technically he's good enough on the ball. If I was, again, the Wolves manager, I'd be pressing him. Sometimes it takes him 2-3 touches to get it under control and move the football. For me, I am worried. And we have to remember, this is a team I flew over for last season. We were 2-0 down after 20 minutes. I felt like going home when I found out Harry Winks was in the lineup, let alone 2-0 down after 20 minutes. Look, this isn't a foregone conclusion that Tottenham are guaranteed to win. Even when we bet them 1-0 at the start of last season, we were very lucky. They had ample amount of opportunities on our goal. We were just lucky that Big H, Harry Kane, King of Lane came off the bench today.
Yeah. And, I completely understand what you're saying. And I think especially against a team like Wolves with, players like Podence, Pedro Neto, Hwang, Guedes, they're going to really pressure our defence. They're going to run our defence. They're not going to let our defence have much time on the ball. And that's when Sanchez really buckles under the pressure in these kind of moments. So I completely understand what you're saying. That's for sure. But when you're looking at the midfield, do you stick with the same two? And if so, do you think they stand up to the pressure that maybe a Ruben Neves and a Dendoncker can give?
First of all, just to finish off to the defence quickly. Look, I know Wolves do not score many goals. They've had a problem since they got promoted back to the Premier League with scoring goals. But with the way our back line is, we dominated Southampton, still conceded all over pre-season, conceded 2 against Chelsea the other day from just goals that were basically avoidable, down to a lack of communication, down to a lack of, someone being commanding or a leader back there. And what I will say is, Wolves do bang in more than one against us tomorrow. That's probably more of an indictment to how bad our defence is, if I'm being honest. But look, moving into midfield.
But wait a sec, Dave. On the flip side of that, yes, we have been shipping goals, but on the flip side of that, we hold the record for most ever clean sheets. Spurs' most ever clean sheets in a season last year.
Yeah, but when you look at it, outside of City, Liverpool, and maybe potentially Chelsea, the rest of the Premier League were nowhere near the standard that it's been at over the last couple of years, in my opinion, in terms of usually you'd have a strong enough, well, no, actually you wouldn't. I was going to say Arsenal squad. United usually are strong enough. You know what I mean? Usually the Premier League, you have more top teams up there above Tottenham.
Fair enough. Go on, carry on what you're about to say.
Going into midfield, for me, I think, look, I want to say something. A lot of people, in my opinion, were scapegoating Højbjerg at halftime last week against Chelsea.
I agree.
But yeah, he was a better player in the second half. 3 or 4 beautiful through balls he tried. He got his goal, which may I add, that's no fluke. He's been getting into them positions all the back end of last season. So it's about time he got his reward for that. So for me, on the basis of the last performance, I'd actually keep Højbjerg in there. And I'd potentially maybe look to bring Basuma in there. But the only problem I have with that is without Bentancur, especially without Romero, we don't really have the players to transition the ball out from the back and play through midfield into the forward line. So for me, I think you have to make sure Bentancur plays there. And I think it's harsh to drop Højbjerg after his second half performance at Chelsea. So I think you will have to go with the two. I would rather drop... look, off Bentancur's performance against Chelsea, I wouldn't have no problem dropping him, bringing in Basuma and seeing what he can do. But, like I said, we need that player that can get on the ball and transition us, into midfield, into the final third. Because last season when we had Winks in there doing it, we could not play out from the back. Sanchez isn't expansive enough with his passing. Dyer, when he tries these long balls, usually ends up in the goalkeeper's hand. Davies always looks to go back inside. So I think it's important that Bentancur does play tomorrow.
Do you not think then Basuma can do that job? Because he's very good at doing that as well. We haven't actually seen him in a Spurs shirt a lot, really. But when we did see him playing for Brighton, he is technically one of the best players I've seen on the ball in the Premier League. He's very, very gifted. His dribbling ability as well is really good. He can get past players like they're not even there. Do you not think that can give a different dimension maybe tomorrow if he was to start ahead of Bentancur? Because I do agree with you. I do think it's hard to drop Højbjerg because I think personally he's probably been a bit more consistent than, say, Bentancur has this season. And I think Conte trusts him more. Do you think that if Bissouma was to come in, he could do that job? Or do you think it's very different compared to what Bentancur can do?
I think it's different, Danny. I mean, look, we tried it against Roma. For 45 minutes, I watched our team dominate the game from left to right, passing it across the back line. And guess who was in the back line? Sanchez, Dyer, and Davies. And Bissouma and Højbjerg in midfield. And they could not get them on the ball whatsoever. Because the defence aren't comfortable enough playing them progressive passes with that back three, it's very hard to get a Bissouma or a Højbjerg into the game, whereas someone like a Bentancur, he drops into them pockets, 5 yards, 10 yards, bit of movement, drops in, demands the ball and gets turned. When against Roma, and I know people could put it down to preseason, but when I was talking about defence, people also told me it was just preseason, even though the same stuff was happening last season, it's happened at the start of this season. So for me, if I'm going off the Roma game, I'm not sure it's that if Bissouma or Højbjerg is together, it's good enough to get on the ball, take the ball, and get it into the four players where we can cause the opposition danger.
So you think if Bissouma was to start, then really he should start with a Bentancur because it's a better pairing in terms of what they can offer you in the midfield?
Yeah, I would say so. But the thing is with Højbjerg, he's a part of the leadership group at Tottenham Hotspur. Antonio Conte has loved him. Every other manager gone before him has loved him.
Yeah, that's true.
And, you know, he's first in, last out and sets a good example around the training ground. Plus, he's vocal on that football pitch. A midfielder, Bissouma and Bentancur, who's going to be your vocal one? I'm not sure. I'm not sure there is one. Look, I do think Conte was waiting for a game like Chelsea, though, to make some of the changes and get some of these summer signings into the Tottenham team, because you also have to take into account the morale of the changing room. He has to still have to trust the players that eventually he maybe envisions dropping, because he's going to need them with the games coming in thick and fast all the way till October, November, plus the early rounds of the cup games and stuff like that. He knows, and he has experienced that last year. Enes Mora, he went to put out a team of like what he maybe considered players that were sort of backup players. They let him down. We lost to part-time electricians. Should never, ever, ever happen. But then when you look at it this time, Antonio Conte is a winner. I guarantee you he wants to win a League Cup and FA Cup. So the players that he does play in them sort of early rounds, he's going to have to rely on. He has to have the confidence on. He couldn't just come in. He couldn't just drop any of the players that got him top four last season when it looked basically beyond the realms of impossibility, bar me believing. But I think basically what he has to do is he has to allow them to make their mistakes or maybe put in a bad performance so he has an excuse to drop them rather than just dropping them and then hopefully filter in some of them summer signings.
Can I add a bit more to that? Do you think then there's a possibility that Conte might shock all of us tomorrow and play a midfield three? So he'll play like a 5-3-2 formation. And if you did, do you think, obviously, if he does that, do you think we could see Bissouma come into that? Or do you think Kulu would drop back into that number 10 role and he'll be the one sitting in front of that midfield too, as if it's like a midfield three? Do you think there's a possibility Conte could do that tomorrow? Or do you think he's going to stick with his kind of formation he really trusts?
No, if he's going to go a midfield three, I think the way when he did try it or did play at times at Inter Milan, it was one holding and the two either side of them getting forward. So I don't envision him dropping Kulu in to be that sort of calm. If he was going to play a midfield three, surely it'd be Højbjerg in the middle, Bentancur one side, Bissouma the other side, allowing them maybe to get forward a little bit more. And plus, I'm not sure how Kulusevski will get on in dropping deeper. Kulusevski is good at what he does out wide. So for me, I'm not sure really that's an option.
Yeah.
Do you not think Kulu can maybe pick up the ball from deep and like drive forward through the heart of their midfield, through the heart of their defence?
I think Kulu can do what he wants. I think he's an absolute brilliant player.
He does.
Kulu's sexy. I mean, look, if the guy wanted to shag my missus, I'd probably let him. If I'm being honest, I love him that much. But look, for me, I do think he can do it. But his best threat is further up the field. So why Why would you put us? For me, like, why would you put ourselves back in a position? Because if you remember back to the Wolves games last year and stuff like that, we were basically relying on Lucas Moura and Son to pick up the ball under the edge of our own box and beat half the Wolves team just to get us up the pitch. So for me, I don't want Kulusevski dropping back in there. I want to keep him up there where he's dangerous. Let him cut in on his left foot and put one of them beautiful crosses in, or one of them ones that curl into the top corner.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When you're looking at Wolves, they're transitioning into a 4 at the back now this season. Did you think that means that we're not going to see maybe the same Wolves that maybe we have been accustomed to seeing maybe in the past couple of years against us? Because historically, since they've come into the Premier League, they've given us really tough games.
They have. Look, I remember back in the day when we had Robbie Keane and Pavlyuchenko, they used to give us tough enough games as well. Wolves have always given us decent games. I do think they're having a bit of trouble adapting right now. I watched them last week. Who was it? Leeds? No,
Fulham.
was
Yeah.
it Leeds? Fulham. Yeah, Fulham. And look, what I will say, them transitioning to a back 4 might actually give us a few more chances in these sort of games against Wolves. I think taking Conor Cody out, I'm not sure they've done the right move there. One thing the guy is, he's very vocal. He's a leader. He'll tell people, he'll pull people into position, keep people tucked in and stuff like that. And I get Bruno Lage is maybe trying to play a bit more expansive football. I think the whole change from the back 4 or from the back 5 to the back 4 is to try and maybe get more bodies forward for Wolves in hopes that they can take all the chances that they were creating when they played us first time round last season and we bet them 1-0. I think they had like 18 chances, didn't take any of them. And I think that's maybe the whole reason why he's switching from that back 5 to back 4 to get more bodies up the field to maybe capitalise on that. But look, tomorrow, I think it's going to be a cagey game. I think they can break us down easy when I look at that back line. But I also think we'll get more chances because they're playing with a 4 rather than a 5. But what I will say is young Kilman there, he's brilliant on the football. So we have to get pressure on him. As soon as he gets the ball, get pressure on him. Don't let him run. Don't give him time to pick his passes. This is a guy that represented England at futsal level. So futsal, you play with a smaller ball as well. So he's bound to technically be absolutely ace.
Yeah.
I'd love him at Spurs.
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. But I think that if we're actually looking to bring in a centre-back, who I've been eyeing up is Joachim Andersen.
I was about to say, that's what
a player
I
he
was
is.
saying on David's channel the other night. I said the 2 players, realistically, I'd like to see right now who we could actually get if we put the money down is Joachim Andersen or Kilman. I think either one of them would be brilliant. Joachim Andersen is better because
I think there's more need in our squad right now for an Andersen than there is for a Kilman. But I'd love both of them, to be honest.
Andersen is a lot better in the air than what Kilman is. And that's what we need right now. Set pieces have been a big problem at this football club, whether it's free kicks, corners, or even crosses into our box. We're very rarely the first guy to go and win it. I mean, you even look at the last week against Chelsea. You might look, I know why they got the goal, because in fairness, Chelsea don't usually do out-swinging corners. And plus, we were set up zona. So we weren't man-marking. So that's why Koulibaly was completely free at the back post. And they tricked us because when we done our homework, we were expecting the in-swinger, which is what Chelsea usually do. So that's why you've seen us piled up more or less at the near post. We didn't consider an out-swinger. And that's why Koulibaly got his goal. But then again, 10 minutes later, he's there free again. And it's a massive problem, set pieces. Like, he's just after scoring. You think the first thing in one of them players' head is, who's picking up the guy who just scored a few minutes ago? And he's free again for another opportunity. Set pieces, we have to learn to deal with them. And people say to me, Gio DeVio, whatever his name is, Mr. 4,000 set piece routines. I mean, he can come in and he can set you up. He can do all the homework, set you up, etc., etc. But what he can't teach you is having that inner desire to be the one to go up and meet that ball. Clean house, go through everyone else to win that ball. He can't teach you that. So for me, I think a Joachim Andersen would be better suited in here. Because, look, Dyer's a big guy, but he just does not win enough. Romero can't compete in the air, but when set pieces are coming in, doesn't compete enough. Davies, not big enough to compete from more set pieces and stuff like that. And the only way of changing that is by bringing someone in this market. And at Tottenham, we shouldn't be afraid to bring in competition for the likes of a Sanchez, a Dyer, or a Davies at the end of the day, because what it'll do is hopefully keep them at the level they're at, or else even bring them to a new level. But also, it'll only benefit Tottenham, because if you bring in a Joachim Andersen, look, I really think we need a centre-back.
Same.
But the problem is I don't think it's from a lack of trying from this football club this summer. I do believe they tried. They tried Bremer, Bastoni, Gavardiol. There's a number of options that they have tried to bring in here, but they just haven't been available. But what I think needs to happen is now they need to find some sort of solution or a stopgap like they done with bringing in Langley in on loan. And I think Joachim Andersen would be the right guy, because then next summer you can still go and get your number one targets, but then that just means you have more competition across that back line, and either one or Dyer or Davies or Dyer or Sanchez will be shipped on. And then it's up to them then. How badly do you want to be at Tottenham Hotspur? You've had your chance. The reason why we've had to bring in centre-backs is because you haven't been good enough and you've been exposed at times. So how good are you? You know, bring in the competition and really put them under the pump.
All right, Dave, just before we let you go, let us know your score prediction.
Do you know what? Despite what I said, I'm still going to go 3-1 Tottenham Hotspur. I do think we'll concede, but I do see us getting more chances. I think Kulusevski might turn up. I think he might score, and I definitely think you'll see my man Big H on the score sheet as well.
Dave, can I ask you a question? Yeah. Will you buy a Sanchez shirt if he scores?
Never. You'll never. Look, Danny, I only own shirts of great players. You know, they're like, I'd be going in there getting a Kane, Son, Kulusevski, people like that. One thing you'll never do is catch me with Dyer, Davies, or Sanchez on my back. You know, because even if I put that on, I'd feel like a loser. I'd feel like, oh my God, I'm going to slip walking down the street or something like that. You know what? If a bird flies overhead, I won't know where it is. You know, so for me, I couldn't get them names on my jerseys, my man. It'd be very interesting to see how many jerseys they actually sell every year with their names on the back. I wouldn't say it's too many. But look, Danny, I only like world-class players, so for me, I couldn't have them loser names on my back. But I do want to take a quick moment, if we can, just to laugh at Mikel Arteta. I mean, I watched the last episode last night. I saved it to last night.
That was brilliant.
Oh, Benji, I whipped out the loop. I was so excited. But I mean, when you see Arteta pulling out a light bulb and a cable, like Einstein, like he's after discovering electricity, and then he's using that as a reputation to shine bright and everything else. I'm sitting there, I'm like, my God. And then you pile that on with pretending to be at Anfield, bringing out the PA system and playing You'll Never Walk Alone during training and all. Like, you look at his diagrams and stuff like that. It's very, very weird. And when I look at it, I'm not sure whether he's like a genius or an idiot. But when I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if I was in that locker room, I would probably be making jokes about that guy. So he's a bit of an idiot. I also ordered some quick thoughts on my phone here last night about the North London Derby part, and I just want to read it out. I think it's very important, especially for fans like yourself, Benji, and that who go to these home games all the time. Now, when I watched that episode, first of all, I want to say the fans that were down there created an absolute unbelievable atmosphere from very early on. They were noisy, the flares were out, everyone was in their colours. And that then what it done is it had a knock-on effect, in my opinion, on the likes of the referee, the linesman, all the pundits and all, because they got a real feel of how big that game actually really was and how much it meant. And then I think you got the knock-on decisions with the referee in that game. One thing I love as well is the fact that you have to walk from one end of the stadium along the side of the pitch to get into the changing rooms. And the fans were in there early, and they just booed that Arsenal team the whole way down. They were beaten before they even got into that dressing room. And then when you look at the dressing room, the reason why I knew they were beaten is if you go back and watch Arteta giving his little silly fucking speeches that he likes to give, you look at Rob Holding's leg. It's shaking 90. It is shaking like mad. He was so nervous going out there. He was already bet. And then when you look at the 2 early yellow cards he picked up, then he's coming off complaining, going, oh, I shouldn't be one-on-one with Son. I mean, you are a centre-back. You shouldn't be afraid of that if you back yourself. But the point is, they were already beaten before they got out on the pitch. And that is something that Tottenham Hotspur can use to their advantage from now on, especially the crowd. The crowd have a much bigger part to play than what they believe or what they're ever told by anybody, in my opinion. And that's just my observations. The fans bet them before they even got into the stadium, before they even got out onto that pitch.
Yeah. And another key point that I wanted to talk about in that last episode, at half-time, Arteta's team talk at half-time was a disgrace. An absolute disgrace.
I haven't seen the last
Ben,
episode yet, so what did he say in it?
Do you think
that's what he said. He pretty much said that at half time.
What did he say?
He pretty much goes. He pretty much says, "Oh, we just need to get through this together now. This game's gone."
Yeah.
Wow.
At half time.
Wow.
And he already made reference to the Newcastle game as well. He's like, "We still have another chance after this."
Yeah, the first thing he said when he gets into the changing room is, "Guys, we've still got 2 more games after this."
And that's the level of Mikel Fraud-Teta.
Mate, that guy was defeated. He accepted defeat at half-time in a North London derby. No matter how many players you get sent off, no matter what the score is, you cannot admit defeat at half-time in a North London derby. You can't.
I mean, especially when you got Amazon Prime, you know, in your changing rooms. And another thing I want to say to all you gooners out there, you go on about being a bigger club than Tottenham. Who did Amazon Prime come calling to first? Because our viewer ratings would always be better than yours. We're bigger than you, and it's proven by Amazon Prime, so take that.
Big up, Dave. Big up, Dave. And what a great way to sign out. We'll see you all on the pump-up tomorrow.
Yeah, what time are we kicking off, Benji? It's a nice and early one.
11 o'clock, pump-up starts, yeah.
11 o'clock. Everybody make sure you're there. It's Wolves. I know some people may struggle to get up for it, so if you do, I'm your guy. Tune in, 11 p.m. See you all there. As always, guys, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.
Big up, Dave. Come on. Super chat here from Trick saying, love the channel, disappointed in the BetMate deal. Well, it's a great game to play, so if you want to come and join us and play the game, be my guest. But let's...
There was another. Did you get the other super chat?
No, go on, read it out.
Yeah, there was one from the Liz and Ian show. Big up for the £5 super chat. It says, a great show, fellas. Feared the lunchtime kickoff. KG 1-0 Harry Kane penalty.
Would you take that right now if I offered
I'll
it to you?
take that right now,
Harry Kane penalty?
I'll take that right now. A win's a win, isn't it? 3 points is 3 points and a clean sheet. So why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on to our next guest. Let's get Amir on the show. Come on. Big up, Amir. Big up, Amir. How you doing, my brother?
I'm very well, very well. How are you doing, Benji? How are you doing, Danny? How are things?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good as well. We're good. We're excited for tomorrow.
All the better to speaking to you, Amir. That's for sure.
Exactly, man.
But talk to me about the game this weekend. Are you coming into it with confidence?
I'm coming in with confidence for sure. For sure. I mean, we saw what we did in the opening game, and we got that beautiful last gasp header by Kane at the bridge, which was fantastic. I know Wolves have been a bogey team for us, and I know we haven't really played that well against them recently at home. So for me, it's key. It's key that we get off to a quick start. We create chances. Within that first 15, 20 minutes, I want a goal so that we can go into the second half.
Oh,
have we lost Amir?
Amir seems to have frozen.
Ooh.
You're back, Amir. You just froze there for a second.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right.
So I want that early goal. And then I want us to really push on and create lots and lots of chances for those front two or front three, whatever formation we're going to go with, and just blow them out the water, because I feel like we need, Danny, you were saying you take that 1-0. I'd take that 1-0 as well. But I want more. I want that performance. I want that 3-4 goals to really put that marker down and show that we're in the hunt for this Premier League this season. That's what I want to see. We've got to put down.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the early goal, because if we do get an early goal, that will just force them to come out that bit more and really pressurize us. And if they do that, we can really kill them. In the spaces that they leave with Kulusevski, Kane, Son. When you're looking at Wolves, though, them transitioning into a back four this season, do you think that plays into our hands as well?
Oh, it definitely does. And Cody going is huge for them. A fantastic player in my opinion. So I think that will definitely have an effect. It's interesting to, Danny, you were kind of speculating. Could you go with a 3-5-2?
Yeah.
Maybe that could work. In terms of like creating a lot of chances.
Do you know why I said that, Amir? I said it because it's also just to playing devil's advocate to see what people, if they think that that might work better. The way I see it is that maybe with the way Wolves play, if they are going to be pressing us a lot, because they do like to press and they are good on the ball.
They do.
And looking at how we played against Chelsea, whenever we do play teams that do press, we seem to struggle a little bit in the midfield to gain that control. And I think if you do have that extra man, you gain complete control. But the only difference between Wolves this season and last season, not in terms of personnel, but is the formation, the tactical change. I think that could play into our hand with the formation we're currently using. But it depends on, that's why I was asking whether, even for you, do you think that it might be better to go in a free midfield? And if that was, who would you play and how would you do it? Because there's different variations of that free in the midfield.
There is indeed, Danny, and I think it's a real conundrum for tomorrow. And obviously we know what Conte likes to do usually. I just think that if we can control that game in the middle with a free in there, which is kind of where we were losing the game against Chelsea, was that middle ground. You know, Kante and your man Jorginho, they kind of bossed it. They bossed it. So if we play
Jorginho, I'll tell you that.
Sorry. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The funny odd penalty taker, the weird penalty taker.
The skip and hop guy.
Weirdo. What a weirdo. Anyway, yeah, I would go with Kulu there in that 10, just behind Sonny and Kane. And it's really tricky because I want to see Basuma in there, but it's just who do you take out? You know, who do you take out? Pierre saved us, even though he didn't have one of his best games. Bentancur, Danny, I really agree with you. He's great in terms of progressing the ball forward. So for me, he's a must in that role. I'd like to see Basuma. I'd like to see maybe Højbjerg drop to the bench, have a little rest. We know how much he plays all the time. He could do with a little rest, and see how Basuma and Bentancur get on in there. In the middle. I'd like to see something like that.
Do you think they'd work better together than say Højbjerg and Basuma? Do you think Bentancur and Basuma work better based on like their what their abilities have and what they offer you?
Yeah, the attributes.
Yeah,
it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say, but it's something that I want to see. It's something that I'd be willing to take a risk on in this game. And see, and I'd like to see Perisic come if he's fully fit. You know, Sessegnon didn't have his best game against Chelsea. He's improved a lot. You know, he did well in the first game, but I'd love to see Perisic. I think that this guy, he's levels above all the other wing backs at our club, and you can just see that in the fact that he's mentoring Sessegnon and he's helping them develop, and I'm sure he's helping Royale as well. So I'd love to see him come in. And what a delivery for that goal against
and then
Chelsea.
the one a second before that nearly went in. I think it was Dyer or Davis with the header.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Within 10 minutes of being on, he's already put two goal scoring chances right on a plate for our players. You know what I mean?
Next level, Benji. Next level.
Yeah, he really is. But look, what's your score prediction going into the game?
So I'm going to go with what Dave said as well. I think a 3-1. I can see them maybe nicking a sneaky Podence goal or, something stupid that we do at the back.
Don't say Podence. I just took him out of my fantasy team.
All right. I'll go with, who is it then? Neto, maybe. Neto.
Yeah, all right. I'll take Neto.
Neto might nick one. But I can see us outscoring them and getting an early goal and then putting the game to bed, and maybe they sneak a little, consolation goal at the end. So I'm going for a comfortable 3-1 win. I'm hoping that it's going to be comfortable. I'm hoping, because that would show progression. These are the games that we struggle. The Southamptons, the Wolves, the Brentfords, the Burnleys, all those teams. So if we can, if you like, do a City, and just be comfortable, just smash them out of the park, and then that second half we're on cruise control and enjoying our football, playing that champagne football, creating chances for fun and banging them in. That's what I want to see.
Big up, Amir, always. But yeah, tell us where we can find you, Amir.
You can find me over on a lot of the other Spurs channels here and there when I can pop on. And I also do have the Open Peace podcast where we try and bring Israelis and Palestinians together for discussions, and other people from around the world. We've had Russians on, Ukrainians on, to try and talk about how we can, advance a more peaceful world. Unfortunately, we're seeing too many bad negative things going on, and we need to push for a different future. So if you're interested in those kind of things, please do head over to the Open Peace podcast, check us out. And yeah, if you like it, subscribe, like, all that good stuff.
And if anyone is heading out to Israel anytime soon, you know where to go for the #1 tour guide in Israel. And if you don't believe me, all you need to do is see some of my vlogs from Israel when I was there not long ago, because we had a great time going to the Dead Sea and Ein Gedi and stuff like that. So, get in contact with Amir if you are on your way to Israel, because he is an unbelievable tour guide.
100%, Benji. And it was just a pleasure to show you around my neck of the woods. And pleasure. Waiting to see you out here again. And Danny, you're always welcome, mate. You and your missus, anytime you like, mate. The door's always open.
It's in the pipeline, my friend, and I can't wait to come and meet you, and you can show us around of where all the best places to go to. Because I was telling Ben how much I was watching all the stuff, and it looked amazing. So I can't wait, man.
He wants to go into those natural springs, man. That's where he wants to go.
Yeah, definitely. That's my kind of thing.
I'm gonna make you a little bit. I'm going down there next week. I got my girlfriend's sister's coming down, so we're gonna take them. Benji, if you remember, there's 2 rivers down there. We're gonna go to the other one this time.
Okay. Send us some pictures, man.
Yeah, I want to see.
Definitely.
And watch out for the boulders as well. Watch out for the boulders.
You know what? I've been there so many times, Ben. Just your luck that happened when you were there. That's the only time I've seen something like that. Crazy.
All right. Well, big up, Amir. Thanks for coming on today, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy, lads. Come on, you Spurs. Come on.
Big up, Amir, as always. Is there anyone else? That is it. All right, that is it for today. Stay tuned, because predicted lineup and potentially a Tottenham update if any news breaks is coming your way as well. Big up for Danny. Big up to Danny for coming on and filling in for Sim today. Always a pleasure to share a screen with you, Danny.
Pleasure to be here, man. Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it today. So yeah.
Big up.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.